drinking with your girls and you come through, but every time you do, we fight. I'm only asking once, can we not do this? I don't wanna fight all night. I'd rather kiss your lips and undress you and take you on your favorite ride. But you don't care if you hurt me. Lead me on for fun. Not for once I'm telling you, don't keep this up. You lose someone who really loves you. Not that he can buy you.
Let's get this started already. We already got fuckboys in here. Who is La Original? Why don't you go kick rocks, batch? How about that? I don't know why you would bring your silly self over to my channel knowing you probably didn't even go to college. Where'd you graduate from? Where'd you graduate from? Planned Parenthood? Let's do it. See, this is one of them things that I knew this topic was gonna bring out all the butt hurt. See, it was chicks like this who wished they could have joined sororities, wish they had the social skills, the people skill to be able to check their silly ass attitude to be able to get ahead in life. But instead, they decide to, have to wait in line like everybody else. Go ahead, La Original. Keep it on. Come on. You came in here talking crap. Please don't stop. Please don't stop. See, we had chicken heads like this back when I was in school. And I'm not in a GLO, but I imagine there's no downside of collaboration with educated melanated people. Greek letter organization. See, what up? All the Greeks in the house. What's going on? Our original don't look like no dude. And she looked like one of them chicks that wanted to be in something. See, wannabes. I want to go ahead and get right on into it, because when you can't even start a program and you got silly people coming into a show, you've touched the nerve. So we're gonna just jump in with both feet. These organizations have been around for over 100 years because they work. But there's always going to be that wannabe class. Wannabe, no, Nate Taylor. Let me tell you why they're upset. Most people are upset because they couldn't get in. Most people are upset because they couldn't get in. Because back when I pledged, like it or not, there was a GPA limit. You had to make a certain GPA. You had to have letters of recommendation. You couldn't be a baby mama. You couldn't be an ugly chick. See, you had to have some style, some. You had to be able to be a benefit. So why are people mad? Well, I'll tell you, whenever there's a separation, Mr. O, between the haves and have-nots, there's always going to be a problem. On the yard, as we would call it. See, I was going to try to come in and just talk about it from a high level. But, niggas always want to come in and go straight to the mud. So, La Original, why you done went quiet? Why don't you bring your big ass on the channel? See, you got folks like that who are mad because they couldn't get into AKA Delta Sigma Theta. So they had to stand in line with the rest of the wannabes because they didn't have the grades, the connections. They didn't have what it took to get into something. You had a few people who would even try it. We'll see. Kevin, understand that there are black folks who have an issue with the word Greek. I don't give a Dude, I don't care about these pseudo fake woke ass people worried about the term Greek. They can kiss both sides of my butt. Over here, I deal with successful people, not these po-righteous teacher hotep wannabe. Show me your work. Show me what you've done. Don't tell me what a Greek nothing is. Show me your work. Now the standards haven't changed. The standards have changed in as much as there's no pledging anymore like it used to be. But the reality is, anyway, you get right down to it, you don't really tend to see. You look at it, AKA overall, you're gonna find an attractive woman overall. But see, the bottom line, here's what it comes down to: when you had to see, black folk hate commitment. Black folk like Lie Original, they hate commitment. And they hate having to commit in public. See, in order to be a part of a fraternity or sorority, you had to pick. See, they didn't do any recruiting. You had to pick and say, I want to be in this organization. You had to raise your hand. You had to go to the smoker or the tea, and you had to raise your hand. Then you had to go put in an application, right? You put that application in, you got to go through the interview process, then you got to get selected. If Eric Glenn, if you don't get selected, what do you think happens? It ain't like if you didn't get selected for Alpha, you couldn't turn around and come pledge Kappa. So it's one and done. If you do get selected, then you have to go through the pledge process. And if you don't make it, that's it. You're out. So there are a lot of people who are carrying around a lot of hate, resentment, ill feelings about something that they truly wish they could be in. Why? Because fraternity, guys, sorority, women win. The stats are very clear, especially in Black America. Back when Black Enterprise magazine was huge, coming out, they would talk about how when you had high-ranking people throughout corporate America, they were in predominantly 2 sororities, and it wasn't uncommon to see if you saw a Black person on the cover of Forbes. What is this guy talking about? I'm talking about kicking you out of my room. Get out of my channel. Don't come in here asking who is this guy talking about. I have zero tolerance for fuck niggas tonight. Zero. So if you come in here saying anything that's off key, you gone. Who is this guy talking about? My name is on the channel, silly. The title is there. Oh, I forgot. The average Black dude got a 4th grade education, 4th grade reading level. Can't read the words. See, a lot of people get upset with fraternities and sororities because they feel like they're elitist. They're arrogant. So you can't even put the title. Why are we here? Because as soon as you put the title out, look at what it does to some Black folk. Look at this. You put the title out and people come in hurting. And the net of it is fraternity men, sorority women win. Because they start out a part of an organization. They start out a part of an organization that has history, has connections, and you automatically are in the club. Go back to the cover of Jet. You would see this CEO of this or this director of that. Anytime you saw a Black professional on the cover of Jet or Ebony, 80% of the time they were in the the Divine Nine. How do these things change lives? Well, what you will find is you go back through the black community as it was, and the principals, when you had black male educators, black teachers that weren't just coaches, at any position in the black community tend to be held by fraternity members, fraternity or sorority members. Ask yourself, go back to back in the day when the black community was really a community. Go back pre 90s. Guarantee Alpha Phi Alpha. Alpha Phi Alpha had a deep root in clergymen. There were a lot of pastors and preachers who were alphas. Martin Luther King, anybody? Morehouse College right here in Atlanta. Omega Psi Phi. A lot of athletes and a lot of athlete scholars came through Omega Psi Phi. Kappa Alpha Psi, businessmen. Phi Beta Sigma, a little bit of all of that. Delta Sigma Theta and AKA number 1 and 2 sororities, hands down, always has been, always will be, were always the top women on any yard. The top women on any yard were in those organizations or wanted to be a part of those. Even if they didn't get to be a part of them, they always had a healthy respect. Why do these things win? Bro, first off, if you grow up like most black men, you don't have without a father. Guess what? A lot of the father figures and the men, the movers and shakers in the black community, the people who can be those mentors are Greek members. Every man in my life, every black man in my life, through my education, was either a Kappa or an Alpha. I did not know that when I was 7 years old. I didn't know this when I was 11 years old. I just knew these men had an outsized position in my life. And it turns out when I got to high school, I found out Dr. Ed was a Kappa. I found out that my ex-father-in-law was Kappa. Found out that my band director, one of the biggest men in my life, was an Alpha. The assistant band director, another Alpha. Head football coach, Q. Track team coach, Sigma. Second grade teacher, Delta. 10th grade English teacher. Almost every black educator I had was either in a fraternity or sorority. And we need to be proud of these people. So when I get somebody like La Original coming here talking shit about them, yeah, you going to get my back up. You goddamn right. Black people never want to give the people who do something credit. You're always trying to tear people down. Shut the up. Shout out to the Qs. Shout out to the Alphas. Shout out to the Sigmas. Shout out to the Iotas. What up, Phi? Shout out to the Deltas. Shout out to the AK. Shout out to the Sigma Gamma Rho. Shout out to Z Phi B. When I went to university, I knew I wanted to pledge. Why? Because I knew that the men I had respect for growing up were all members of fraternities. I knew that I wanted some of that. I didn't have a dad growing up, but I knew that the men who I held in high esteem were part of that. There was no way to really lose. Robert Smith, Alpha, yes. There was no way to really lose, but when I decided I wanted to pledge Kappa, it was because, honestly, all the men who stood head and shoulder above other men in my life were Kappas. And here's the thing, they had beautiful wives and nice families. Of the 36 AKAs that I know at the Oklahoma City Alumni Chapter, 33 of them were married to Noops. So when I went on to college, OU, the Kappa chapter was non-existent. It had been kicked off the yard for some BS. The Alphas were running the yard. The Qs were a small chapter. The Sigmas were a small chapter. What I understood about black fraternities is they are very small because it's like a family. And if you grow up in a place where you have no father and you don't have any brothers and sisters, this is this was an opportunity for somebody. This was an opportunity for you to get online and pledge with somebody who you can make lifelong friendships with. I would every Sunday, my frat brothers from OU, we get together on a Zoom call and just talk it, chop it up. You got men who pledged in 1982 who do everything like they did 30 plus years ago. They are legitimately brothers. I'm not gonna call these guys names because they're not over here. But when you see it work, when you see people go in organizations and they actually have a love for each other like they would a brother, these guys travel the world together, go to games together, network together. Same thing with women. This is why. How is this a bad thing? When I went in to interview for my second internship, I was arguably not the most qualified from a GPA standpoint. Reginald Lewis, 5. Yeah, Reginald Lewis, 5. When I went to interview for my second internship, I was in the middle of the pack academically. And this position paid 30% more. I went into the interview nervous. I interviewed, okay. But a part of my interview, I leaned back and my jacket open. And right in my cheap suit, because I was a college student, my fraternity pin was showing. My Kappa diamond. It's like this right here on my brand, right here on my chest. And the guy interviewing me said, "Oh, you're a Kappa?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Interview over. I know everything I need to know." I was like, "What?" I thought I'd fail. I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Nope. I thought I knew." This was one of the most highly sought after internships at our university. He leaned back, said, "I know everything I need to know." You start in the fall. You start in the spring. What? I said, in the fraternities, there's a way we can kind of recognize each other. We have secret handshakes and secret, Batman Dakota rings. We have our way of getting around people. What's up, Chris Law? Kappa Kappa Psi, the band fraternity. Kappa Kappa Psi is a huge on black yards. See, that's why you starting to hear people come in and shout their stuff out, because people have good memories of this stuff. So when you hear people coming in talking crazy, that shows you they remember. It's more sour grapes than anything else. But when I was like, "Well, what happened?" He's like, "Well, no, I'm not a Kappa." He's like, "No, young man, I'm an Alpha." But he said, he's like, "My roommate was a Kappa." He's like, "But one thing I do know is I know what it takes to become a Kappa man. And if you got what it takes to become a Kappa man, you got what it takes to do this job." Understand, there's no rivalry out of college. There's a fun rivalry on the yard, but out of campus, we take care of each other. It's favoritism. It's nepotism. And every other race of people does it. The Divine Nine is a good example of where black folks have a history of doing things pretty damn well. Especially after college. Now, on college, you young guy, you're young. You're young. There's testosterone. You're not out of you're off the yard. There's liquor. There's silly things that can happen. But after you get out of college, is when the work starts. Many are called, but few are chosen. Some are cold, but few are frozen. When you driving down the road, going down the highway this way, and a car is coming down I-40 that way, and the guy pulls across the median and turns around and follows you, flashing his lights. And he's like, "What's up, Fi? I just wanted to shake your hand." What? Because he saw my Kappa tag. Let me explain how this changed my life. One, I grew up an only child. Automatically, when I crossed, I automatically was in a fraternity, an organization of 8 men on that campus that had my back, like brothers. I can't bother with Greeks who carry that yard stuff after had my back. You actually had an opportunity to do things on campus. It wasn't just about partying. You also had a responsibility because you're part of it. It was more than about you. You had to do community service, volunteerism. When I was at the University of Oklahoma, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated had the highest GPA of any fraternity or sorority on the yard 2 years running. The only fraternity or sorority that had a higher GPA than Kappa Alpha Psi was Phi Beta Kappa. They had a 4.0. All black men, engineering, accounting, law, medicine, 3.6 GPA. We had the dopest parties. Something to be proud of. I want to talk about what it can do for you in school, especially for you socially awkward guys or introverted guys. It gives you a group of men to hang out with. Not just on the campus, but from other campuses. You actually have connections. When you leave the campus, graduate, and you move from, you move from DC, you leave Howard and you go to work in Houston. The first call you need to make is Houston alumni and say, hey, bros, I'm graduating from Howard and I'm starting working for the Houston Chronicle in August. And when you get to Houston, they will have it what we call set out for you. Brothers will have it set out. You'll have a list of brothers' names and phone numbers. Brothers will show. When I got to Houston, brothers had it set out for me. What was set out? They showed up at my apartment with my favorite liquors. They brought over some cigars, and they brought some housewarming gifts. The Kappa Sweethearts. I ran all the Sweethearts, by the way. Every year I ran the Sweethearts to the Diamonds. I instantly had an in. I was plugged in. I didn't have to go through that awkward phase. You want to go to a church? Here's the church you go to. You want to go here? You want to go there? Brotherhood. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's the same way with every organization. It gives you a leg up if you use it, but you got to use it. And all organizations work along the same ways. So what happens if you were right now, and let's say you were in college and you didn't want to pledge. Let's say you couldn't. Let's just say you were in the mindset of you're like, I ain't trying to be that. But let's say you're out of school right now and you're like, you know what? I've had a change of heart. I can see the benefit. I wish I'd have did it. Yo, baby, bow tie fragrance guy. That's right. I know. Got the finest. So, what do? You pledge alumni. You go alumni. You're in Atlanta, you reach out to the Atlanta alumni chapter. If you're in an NFL city like Dallas, they have the Dallas alumni chapter, and every major city or subdivision has an alumni. There's a Plano, there's a Frisco, there's a Garland, there's a DeSoto. But let me tell you something. Eric Glenn, talk about sweethearts. Well, this semester, this spring after I crossed. What's up, Antoine Wade? Appreciate it. Cheers, got some gelato and nice Pinot Noir. Cheers to get some Pinot Noir or a full body red blend, a pretty young thing on your arm. Yeah, man. That's right. See, man, let me tell you something. Our regional meeting, province is what it was called, was in conjunction with the AKAs from the Midwestern region. So I'm a young Kappa. And we go up to the Clarion Hotel, and I get on the elevator with some of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen in my life. And I'm every bit of 19 years old. The doors closed, and I got all my Kappa stuff on. And this woman starts singing the sweetheart song. There was 7 women in here. And every one of them was like, I was a sweetheart before I was an AKA. I was a diamond before I was an AKA. Let me tell you something. When I went to that party the AKAs had that night, I saw some of the most exceptional black women I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking about women in their late 70s. You know, the gray hair, but they came out in their fox stoles or their minks. They had their pink dress on and their pearls. These Claire Huxtable of the 80s would have been like, these are some cold chicks. And I was like, I've always had an affinity for AKAs. That don't mean I don't like deltas. I the thing is, AKAs and deltas is 2 sides of the same coin. And the funny thing is, after school, people tend to have good memories of being in school, but when you're after school, Greeks tend to want to help other Greeks get on. So if you are not in, do yourself a favor. Seek out the grad chapter for straight up networking and business purposes. The brotherhood piece of it will come. Just like anything else, you cannot replicate what happened in college. But when I'm telling you, I crossed in spring in 1988. Spring 1988. And when you realize that some of these relationships you have go on for a lifetime. They benefit you for a lifetime. They benefit you for a lifetime, baby. I never, flashlight, red light, neon light, oh, stoplight. Now I lay me down to sleep. Hey, This is yeah, baby. Yes. The one and only club. Can y'all see it on the back? Zeta Omega, K Psi, Phi Nu Pi, to the day I die. Hold on, let's see if we can get the back. The one and only club. Yes, I have had this jacket since April of 1988. April of 1988. April of 1988. And it fits. Yeah. Da, 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 dee, da, 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 da. Hey, baby. Good memories. The best memories when we worked in Guide Right. When we would work with young, promising high school students to help get these guys prepared to go into college. A lot of these guys, you heard some of the horror stories, and nothing better than seeing a young man that black men help get prepared to go to college, and we pay for it. Now, we did, what do we do with all the money we made at the parties? Community service. Community service. Outreach. Yeah, we partied. We had a good time and all that other stuff. Yeah, we had the frat parties, and me being the socialite I am, I made sure the Kappa wine and cheese was the Kappa wine and cheese was the best one ever. See, every year we would have a mixer, and the Kappas, when I was there, the spring party and the Kappa mixer, the Kappa wine and cheese were the events of the year. So, you take these skills with you. You take these skills with you. You take these memories with you, and you build. I know a lot of folks did not have this opportunity, so I tell you, do not let some of that foolishness that came on when I first started doing this stream dissuade you. These organizations, the spans of these organizations have noble beginnings. Every fraternity from 1906 to 1914, shout out to Iotas, y'all came along in 69, I want to say, but you had black men back at the turn of the century. The founders of Kappa Alpha Psi, it was hard to find 10 black men on college campus. These men were washing dishes. Imagine what it was like to be a black man in Indiana, at the University of Indiana. They came together to help each other. Yeah. So a lot of times fraternities, sororities get a bad name because of the Kappa Beach Party, which started out dope, which turned into some foolishness right along with Freak Nick, but that wasn't the college people. That was a street element that came into it. When it stuck with collegiate stuff, we were some of the best that ever did it. I guarantee you this: you want to find the movers and shakers, the black folks in your area, they are in Greek organizations. They are in alumni chapters. There are a lot of black people, there are a lot of Greek members who are not active, but they are still willing to help a fellow Greek member. Look at what's going on in the chat room right now. People are in there talking up a storm. Talking up a storm. Because people who decided to get into these organizations did it for something bigger than themselves. And oftentimes it gets whittled down to superficial stuff like stepping and caning and shimmying and partying and all that other stuff. And that's part of it. But that's not what it is. It's because when you were a little boy and you saw Dr. W.K. Jackson preaching in that Baptist church and he moved you in a certain way, you remember the impact Dr. Milburn had on you when he was preaching. And to find out both of those men were alphas meant something. And to find out that they shared a lineage with Dr. Martin Luther King, who was an alpha as well, that meant there was something special in that black and gold. I didn't go to black and gold, but I respected it. Even when I moved to Houston after I graduated, Texas Southern University, TSU, which is now, what is it, Texas University? What's it called now? Martin Luther King Jr.'s philosophy instructor, Dr. Thomas Freeman, was a philosophy instructor at Texas Southern. And he was also the debate team coach. Remember the show, The Great Debaters? Texas Southern University, while they may not have had all its accreditation, what it did have was a world-class debate team. I studied philosophy under Dr. Thomas Freeman. I can forever say the same man that taught Dr. Martin Luther King philosophy taught me. It was the hardest class I ever had in my life. Can I pledge into a grad chapter? Yes. It's not pledging. The word pledging has changed. If you want to get involved in an alumni chapter, what you have to do is you have to be a graduate for your university. Everybody has a little bit different requirements. Tend to take letters of recommendation from existing fraternity members, or if those won't work, just letters of recommendation. They don't just take everybody. But if you're a solid person, they're always looking for solid members. Always. Get in. Every region has a powerhouse. I want to say, when I remembered it, in the Midwest, the Sigmas weren't really, Phi Beta Sigma really wasn't a powerhouse. They were kind of at the bottom of the ranks. But on the West Coast, around the Bay Areas, Sigmas were dominating. They're always regional, and that's usually on campuses. Yeah. Changed my life because I know for the rest of my life, wherever I go, I'm a phone call or an email away from connecting to people of like intent. Texas, Alabama, boy 817. How do I pledge? Do you have are you talking about alumni? Oh, and there's another thing. They're internet. These organizations are international. There's a Tokyo alumni chapter. Huh. Yeah. Hey man, get in an organization. Of course, I have my preference for Kappa Alpha Psi, but get in something. Iotas are big too. Good. Yeah. See, everybody, I will say this, that I'm just thinking back. I'm just thinking about all the memories. My life would be so different without Kappa. I would have never met the men I met. I would never seen the families I've seen. I would never seen the women I've seen. I've yeah. I've seen what could be. I've seen some of the best, and I've seen people. Here's the thing: I've also seen people who did not. It's not that they didn't want to be in the organizations. It's just at the time they had a problem with the pledge process. They didn't. There was this fierce independent streak. Go look at the movie School Days. They were like the Lawrence Fishburne character, Dap. That stuff goes away after college. Talk about eat the meat, spit out the bones. After college, it's all meat. Am I lying? Am I lying, Sugar P? Anybody, anybody who's in a fraternity or sorority, am I lying? After college, there is no bone. It's all meat. It's all upside. It's all upside. Have you been? Have I been to the frat house on Southmore and Third? It's all meat. See why? Because so many people today suffer with lacking social networks. Well, joining an alumni chapter, you will come in with a pledge class, a pledge line. That pledge line will be your shippies, your line brothers. Those are the men you will share the entire process with. You want brothers? I wanted brothers. And here's the sad part. As a guy, I was an only child, and I wanted to pledge because I wanted brothers. I'd always wanted siblings. But the Lord had different plans for me. When I pledged, 13 of us interviewed. I was the only pledge to get accepted. And I was the only pledge, the only Kappa scroller in all of Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, North Texas. I saw Kappas from every school in Oklahoma, North Texas, Arkansas, and Kansas. Hamburger. But when I crossed, I had so many gifts after I went over. I did not wear the same frat shirt. I crossed on March 24th. We didn't get out till May something. I didn't wear the same frat shirt 2 days in a row. Thank you. I didn't wear the same frat shirt 2 days in a row. Good memories. Go make some memories, guys. Go make some memories. It costs much more to do grad chapter, no matter what organization. Well, over here we make money. Over here we pay the cost. If you're not a member of my Patreon, you want to join my Patreon. Where is it? Oh, it's down there somewhere. There's a link. Join Patreon because every Monday I do a Patreon only stream. Mondays at 6:30. Last Monday's stream was talking about buying your way in, paying for access. Paying for access is one of the smartest things you can do. Did y'all see the glasses that were red too? Sugar P, did you see the red glasses? See the red glasses? Paying for access is one of the smartest things you can do. It's one of the smartest things you can do. Omega Psi Phi or Alpha Alpha for you. Michael Jordan, Omega. Steve Harvey, Omega. Ricky Smiley, Omega. Bill Cosby, honorary Omega. Wanted to be a nuke though. Kappas, we don't do any honoraries. Shout out your famous alums. Thurgood Marshall, Alpha. Shout out your famous alums. Shaq, Q, Penny Hardaway, Anthony Hardaway, Newt. You're gonna say honorary? Yeah. I'll pay for Brotherhood and Lifelong Connection. That's Louis Farrakhan, Omega Psi Phi. Yes, that's right. Penny, that's right. Mm-hmm. Jesse Jackson's Omega, yes. Uh, what was Andrew Young? Was he an Alpha? Um, Johnny Cochran. Yo, baby. Yo, baby. Oh man. And it was funny when you used to see all the in the league. Darian, remember I used to love to back in the days before the NFL really allowed, personalities. It was so cool to see dudes with those Kappa brands with that diamond. Oh, and of course, Qs were all through the league. I want to say Eric, a lot of Qs, and there were some Sigmas too. I want to say Eric Harris or Eric Williams. He was a Sigma. But one of the first places saw black men really expressing themselves when their fraternal pride was on the gridiron. Because when they would make a play, they would do something. They would throw their sign and like my Dean of Pledges and the Lamps Dean of Pledges. Lamps are Omega Pledges. Um, were roommates. I did a cross set with the Qs. Yeah, I did a cross set with the Qs. I had to take wood from Qs, and the Lamps had to take White Lightning. In our chapter, the Qs and the Noops on my yard were tight because we were both small chapters, and we were both known for having an extremely difficult pledge process. So in Oklahoma, we would chant each other. We would have our chant battles and everything, but we demanded respect for everybody. Let's say Sugar P was leading her sorority sisters around the party in the line. We'd clear the party out. You'd have to let the sororities go through unmolested, or we would throw your ass out of our parties. We had respect for one another. Yes, like that. We had respect for one another. Now we would joan on each other, but we had Panhellenic. There was none of that bullshit. You couldn't come from another yard and have issues with another Greek, like, oh, we don't like Sigmas where we from. Over here we don't do that. I mean, we crack on each other, but we all black here. That was you know what? That was one of the most pro-black things I'd ever seen in my life. Let's talk about it. When I was online, I know when you pledged Kappa, you had to learn the history of every other black Greek letter organization. I had to learn the founding information of the AKAs, Delta, Sigma, Gamma, Rho, Zeta, Phi, Beta. I had to learn the founding information, fundamental, not in depth, about Alpha Phi Alpha, Q Psi Phi, and Phi Beta Sigma. You had to learn the amount of founders they had, the university, the years, the colors. You're not just going to jump in Kappa and not represent it. You had to study. When everybody went online together, it was like all the pledges. Wow, it was crazy shit. When I was in charge of the pledges, we had what I call Ladies' Day. I would have all the scrollers walk around with peppermints and a note. This is some old simp shit. It was cool in the 80s and 90s though. All the scrollers would go give women candy on Ladies' Day. Women start lining up to wait for the scroller. So Bowtie, check this out. Check this out, Bowtie. Check this out. Check this out. Your godfather. Ooh, I was a cold dude. Bowtie, here's what I would do. I would say, all right, scroller. Here's your thing, man. Here's what I want you to do. In front of the yard, your girl is over there, right? Now, you're on social probation. You ain't supposed to see no one, but here's what I want you to do, scroller. I want you to take your woman out tonight, and I want you to show her the time of her life. I want you to go to the movies, have dinner. I want you to have lots of good love making, and I want to hear a good report. Boy, if you don't come treat that woman like she deserves to be treated, you're gonna be in trouble. and scrollers, they couldn't smile, but that was giving him off the night with his girl. Let's say you didn't have a girl. So I'd say both. I'll say All right, my best friend is David. He was just so awkward, but he had a crush on Natasha. All right, David. Here's what I tell you what. If you don't go get a date with Natasha and go out to dinner, wait till session on Sunday. I'ma wear you out. If I don't hear y'all went out on a date and you took out to dinner, and you better get at least a kiss. Not no kiss on the cheek, at least a French kiss, boy. I'm going to. Ooh, you do not want to come to session if you ain't took her out, boy, because you want to be a noops, a play. We're pretty boys and pretty boys like pretty girls and pretty girls with 20 pearls. And if you don't holler at her, boy, you're going to have a problem. So what Natasha sitting there? I don't want her to get in trouble. Hey, man, I ain't got nothing to do with that. All I know is you better go. You know how many scrollers came back, back with like, so scroller, what happened? Hooking the scrollers up, boy. Cause it was hard to be online. I was a beast. But it was all in fun. Um, you see a Delta on the yard, the scroller would have to carry her backpack. Oh, hey, Sugar P. Scroller would have to carry her backpack. Scrollers walked around with umbrellas. See, men of Kappa Alpha Psi learned how to be gentlemen, warrior, scholars. I think I make this shit up. I learned it that too, man. We were some ladies' men, man. That's right. That's right, baby. Step shows, throw out the rose petals, and step into the coming to America thing. And that carries on in life, man. Sure. So maybe you won't get all that. But see, you'll be around people who have good memories together. And these guys continue to do stuff. It is not uncommon for alumni chapter guys to get together every weekend, especially during football season, to watch the games, to go to steakhouses, you know, uh, in the recreational part of it. I mean, we ain't trying to go to the club. They hanging out with each other, poker nights, and that's just each other's houses. You know, Kappas have casino nights. Go on cruises. If you're married as a Kappa, your wife, she can be Greek, she can be an AKL Delta, but she becomes an automatic member of a silhouette. There's a lot of tradition here, and I think a lot of people don't really understand how much goes in, how deep these organizations are, and why there's so much inner working between the organizations. There's a lot of pride tied up in this. That's why, y'all don't typically see me come out doing what I did at the beginning of the show, but I just won't tolerate that bullcrap, disrespect, for no reason, just coming out and saying some, slick, crazy. I'm like, no. 80 pledges, we couldn't walk on the grass. Yeah, you can't walk on the grass when you're a pledge, man. All kind of crazy stuff. John Singleton, Chapter Invisible. Yep. That was the funny stuff, right? When social probation, couldn't walk on grass, can't talk, Hell Week, So only 13 on your line, you don't want to get your diamond or your scroll snatch. So look, my advice is this: there's a difference between being one of the Divine Nine and then being in a. One thing that I realized when I was at my PWI is they didn't take fraternity or sorority like we did. It's for life when you join a black fraternity or sorority. Non-black fraternities, they can be in or out. It was not uncommon for white fraternities to be a part of fraternities the freshman and sophomore year and then just go inactive, and they don't do like this. This is a great place to meet like-minded men or like-minded women. Be around a bunch of more like-minded people because all these groups know one another, and build your social circle. Building your social circle. So, that's what I mean by changing your life. It can definitely change your life. So, I hope that was beneficial. I don't want to go too long. Do me a favor. If you want to If you got any questions about um, alumni or whatever, do yourself a favor. Go on Google. Google it. Google alumni chapters in the area. Google what it takes to, go to the actual website, kappaalpha.org. Find out what it takes to become a member of Kappa Alpha Psi or Alpha Phi Alpha, Phi Beta Sigma, Omega Psi Phi, Iota Phi Theta. I'm sorry, Bernard. I mean, not Bernard, RJ. I keep forgetting. Go find out. Go find out. One of the best things I ever did in my life. One of the best things I ever did in my life. Paul Kane. That's right. Paul Kane. Lost founder. It's funny when Paul Kane, they were like, it's funny. I'm one of them black folks that everybody, I look like everybody for some reason. You look like Ricky Smiley, you look like Tracy McGrady, you look like Babyface in the 90s, you look like this guy, you look like this guy. You look like the guy who used to, Christophe St. Jean, Young and the Restless. You're like Paul Kane. There were a couple pictures of Paul Kane. I was like, I do kind of favor this dude. The craziest one I ever got, though, I actually heard people tell me I look like Michael Jackson. When I was young, I did. Like a young Michael Jackson, the black one. Yeah, it was true. Rodney Allen, Rippy. Yeah. But the craziest shit, I actually had somebody tell me I look like Prince. I'm like, Prince? It's just, you're going too far now. I'm pretty on my left. I'm pretty on my right. I'm so damn pretty, I can't sleep at night. I'm pretty on my right side like I'm pretty on my left. I'm so damn pretty, I can't stand myself. Ow, ow, ow. Well, well, well. Noob Slang 12. Can you say yo baby, yo baby, yo, 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 yo motherfuckers, yo. Shit. Better than a motherfucker. We smoke the dope. We drink the wine. Doop, doop, motherfucker. It's party time. We wear the clothes. We pimp the hoes. Doop, doop, motherfuckers. That's the way it goes. Do this. Motherfuckers, do this. I don't. Super duper. I don't. What was the one with AKs and Delta? Man, I used to be a champ. I was the stepmaster. I tore 3 canes at one time. All them chants. When we had chant tapes. I went to London to visit the Queen. Told a bitch I was a Kappa. She made me king. What was that other one? What was it? It was about the AK. Oh. What was the Delta one? It ended with ooh, whoop, ooh, whoop. That's all I remember. We was making love to a Delta and it ended with ooh, ooh. Oh, it was cold shit. It was cold. Ha. And here's the funny thing. It was not uncommon that, I saw a lot of people get together. I know a lot of people who are still married to this day. Deltas marrying Qs, Noops marrying AKAs. Sigmas and Zetas were definitely getting together there. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. And I will say this: what I've noticed that a lot of guys I know who are introverted by nature have led fuller lives than they ever would have led had they not gone and joined a fraternity. I've had them tell me that themselves. I mean, guys who I know were engineering or, just really logical process types. Yep. I hate those Kappas. They stole my hoe. I tried to pledge. They told me no. I was hurt. I want to cry. So I pledged that. I was hurt. I didn't know what to do. So I played. I was hurt. I went astray. So I played that. I was hurt. The times, right? The times. The times. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And it's still paying benefits to this day. Um and I don't think enough I don't think we celebrate. I would say this: we hear a lot of bad stuff about failures and issues in the black community and our struggles and our troubles and our gender politics and a lot of that stuff. But personally, I've seen the black fraternities and sororities. Just my perspective, I've seen them as a success. They've made some incredible. It made some incredible individuals, some viable groups. You know, um, yeah, something to build on. Something to build on. All right, guys, I got to get up out of here. Hope you have a good night. Hope you have a good night. I got to take that flashlight song out of there. You'll probably try to strike the channel for something like that. All right, then. Peace out to all the Greeks. One love. In the chat room, fly your colors. Fly your colors in the chat room. One love. Peace.